Hey, what's going on everybody? Robert Marzullo here with Wacom Studios, and today we're going to do a video on drawing a character, comic book character, and actually developing him or her, right in front of you. No idea what this character might come out to be, so we'll just kind of start sketching out a pose here. And this was in a response to a couple requests, so thanks for that. Thanks for taking the time to give me some input and let me know what you'd like to see on here, because that does really help. So okay, so right now I'm trying to figure out if I want this to be a male or female, if I want this to be a cool action shot or just kind of a standing pose. um, let's see let's see what we come up with here, because some of the initial things when creating a character is, the name, the size, stature of the character. Are they going to have lots of cool attachments? Are they, part cyborg, or they, transform into something else, or any number of things can start coming to play. So, but I guess with the very first thing I need to figure out before I get too far into the sketch, it's already a little bit bulky to be a female. So I'm wondering if maybe we should just go with the male character on this. But I guess what I'll start with is just more of the pose, and then we'll figure that out, because I could change the sketch lines pretty fast. So um, let's see if I want to do some foreshortening in this one. Hand coming out. I'll start out with the typical mannequin type drawing. Kind of feeling out the proportions right now. Usually my guide for the leg right here, take from the hip to the knee, should roughly be from the pelvic to the clavicle or neck area right there. It's a good rule of thumb for me. Always make the one leg that's up front a little bit longer. The one sitting back, say the weight bearing leg in this point, would be a little bit shorter. This one kind of up front into an angle, a little bit of a bow there. And the feet are always pointed a little bit separately. This arm's too short. So we need to figure out the elbow goes to the waist. Just little things like that help you with dynamics, proportions, and things like that. So, and then if I check this should be about 8 heads tall for the typical average superhero. I think it's actually been leaning more to 8.5 with distorted comic book stylized effects, overly stylized effects. Alright, this is definitely looking more like a guy pose, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with the guy character, even though that's typically the first thing you would label out, or is it male or female, and if so, what are this male's powers, if any? Is this a power character, or is this a techie, or just a gunslinger? Just so what's this guy's story? So with that, I've got the one arm up like he's holding probably a gun or something like that. So let's think in terms of that. So maybe he's a gunslinger, modern or old school. I'm gonna say modern. I typically lean to a lot of modern techie stuff, so let's go with modern. So now we know he's a gunslinger, modern character. Um, you know, does he make his own weapons? Does he, steal them? Are they given to him by the government? What's the idea? So just kind of keep sketching them out and thinking about that as I do it. And that's really, all it boils down to when I create characters. I just kind of keep playing with the idea, modifying it as I go. Sometimes it just comes out while you're drawing it. Other times when you're trying to write a story, so um, seeing, even like to me, those legs look short. So let me try that again. Do all your redrawing in the initial sketch. And I probably should have got those proportions a little better. I think I got his waist a little high there too, so let's try that again. And you know what, just to make this less boring, see how I go from shoulder to shoulder here? And I got that straight line. I want to slant this line a little bit. Those two lines should never be entirely parallel. And to make it even a little bit better, let's try this. Let's try a turn at the waist. Here's the vertebrae coming down like this. And let's have them side stanced like this. This one up closer, this one smaller. Let's see if I can draw that in. So he's kind of turning and pointing the gun, or whatever it is. Maybe it's not a gun, maybe it's a laser beam. Could be. Alright, and then this foot will be off to the side. This one will still kind of be pointing forward, so let's change that stance. Actually, this leg's got to be longer still, so now we'll run into the same problem I just erased all this for. And you see I'm not doing the tube cone construction that I normally do. It's only because I'm trying to kind of speed through this. I probably would, but there's a lot of times when I can go through that and not really need to do that at this point. But it is a good habit to do, especially if you're struggling with a pose, which we'll see here in a bit if I am. It's getting a little closer, but it's still not a great one. I think it's because I'm focusing more on trying to figure out what this character is going to be. Yeah, and I think that's too much of a bend. I don't know that he would be turned quite that far at the waist. All these fun little problems you deal with when you're trying to work this out. Now that I'm looking at it, this forearm's short. Boy, yoy, yoy, all kinds of problems here. We'll get through it though, together. Okay. I think we can work with that. I think this back leg still needs to be extended a little bit. But that's the beauty of this being a rough sketch. I'm just kind of giving myself some notes right now and some shorthand of where this is going to go. And in the next few layers, I'll work out the details of this character. Does he have a suit? Does he wear street clothes? I think he's got to have a suit. There's a lot of characters that are doing the street clothes thing now. It's kind of like this cool, I'm a regular guy, but I got powers or whatever kind of thing. That's cool, but I don't know. There's a lot to be said for having a suit and a secret identity too. My character Blackstone doesn't really have a secret identity, but he's kind of like a nomad that he doesn't really care what he doesn't attach to people and have a lot of personal relationships, not at least in the beginning of the story, so he can get away with that. But when they're this somebody that has these relationships and they're trying to protect people in their life, obviously they got to throw a mask on for that. So we're going to go ahead and give this guy the secret identity thing, even though we don't know what his powers are yet, if anybody would even need to know his personal life or whatever. But maybe he's a hitman type, but he tries to lead a regular life at the same time. So in that case, he's got to protect his wife, kids, Mima or something. So let's see. Let's start figuring that out with this guy. But I want to do something where he does use the guns. I don't know about this pose with the arm right here. Try to work that out. But let's make him more techy in nature. Okay, let's give him a suit. So we'll start off kind of scribbling these suit lines, and these I just kind of mess around with until something looks like it's gonna, stick. I might draw all kinds of weird little shapes and stuff in there if I'm gonna do a suit type character like that. Just because, again, this is the sketch, you want to keep it real loose, and then pick from that what you want to take home on the project. So, feel free to sketch in all kinds of stuff, and then, don't be married to it. Just wait for something to jump out and really grab you and say, oh, that's cool, that's different. It's hard with suits because there's so many suit type characters now. You got to really do something different to, to make it stand out from the crowd. Trying these little ridge openings all over, something like that. Maybe a couple of them. And pretty advanced, and I won't say that this character made his own suit. It always bothered me about, I won't point fingers, but I'm sure you could think of who I'm talking about. The character who's just this young kid and he ends up making his own suit, and it's just amazing. We'll make this one where the suit is actually given to him by the government that empowers him, or an alien race. I don't know. We'll keep working on that. But I do want to make this guy a gunslinger, so I'm gonna give him some weapons like this. All right. And you know what? This looks like he's holding a weapon. Anyways, let's just go ahead and do another gun right here, or at least fill in the shape and see if that looks like it'll work. Bam! That's a gun right there. Block of wood. You just gotta basically, fill it in, and then add some detail later. But that's just temporarily. We'll say it's a gun. We make it one of those guns that have like the clip in the front, even though it's a short little handheld. But it's not shooting bullets. It's we'll change the front end on it like this, and it's more of a plasma rifle or something, something more high tech. Or you know what? Maybe that's part of the character right there. We'll say that these weapons that he has, these guns, are state of the art, one of a kind. They fire something new and different than has ever been out. It's not lasers, not plasma. It's some form of new energy that makes it where he can control the burst. He can control. Let's try that. This suit and the guns are connected. Okay, that's why it kind of looks circuitry like. So what happens is when he fires these, he can control the trajectory of the bullets, the intensity right up until impact, and what else? What else would make that cool? Maybe the energy can be transformed into various types of energy even. So it doesn't just fire one thing, it fires a energy that can transform itself based on his command into hot, cold, dense, gaseous, however you'd say that. So let's try that. It actually is what's the word there? A transforming energy, essentially. And he controls that with the suit and the guns. So he doesn't have any real powers other than his ability as a marksman was already top notch. He was a high paid government assassin, we'll say. Worked for a secret form of the government that was hush hush. Only a few members of branches of the government even know about it. And he came out in response to a huge terrorism attack, and they needed something higher up, and he had to infiltrate and go in and stop some things from happening. Then when he got the suit, see how I got to go into full detail with this. When he got the suit, that branch of government was exterminated, and he was the only one left. So now he's trying to find out what happened, who did this, and no one knows that he even exists any longer. The ones that did know about that branch of the government didn't know about him. So there it is. So now we have the character, the idea. We don't have the name yet. Um, let's see, something to do with the guns. You know, I would have to look up mine. Forgive me, but I'll have to look up some of the names to know that these are even going to work. But I want to say kill shot has been used, so I don't know if we can go with that. And I'll write a couple of these off to the side. Kill shot. I know bullseye's been used. That's a character in DC, I believe. Um, accurate? No, it doesn't sound good. You know what? I kind of like, as simple as it is, trigger. I'll check to make sure that's available. But it's short to the point. I mean, it's not as cool as a one syllable, you know, like just shot, you know, but I don't know, that's not enough. So I think trigger is cool. And maybe that's not as, you know, he self-dubbed himself that, uh, he gave himself that name once he found out he was alone and had this technology to now deal with and utilize for the betterment of man and fighting crime. And he just dubs himself Trigger to go with the secret identity. I'll try a couple more names too. I like to write a few names along the side. Like I said, it's just in case I go to look it up, and you'd be amazed at how many names have been used when you do this stuff. It's really unfortunate too because it takes the wind right out of your sails on some of these. You'll have this cool concept, and all of a sudden you look up the name. I can't remember which ones that's happened to me, but it happens all the time. And I look it up and I'm like, oh man, there's already a character like that, and you know, it sucks. But there's so many different people doing different things that's just bound to happen. Now I want to come up with something cool on his face mask. That's another thing I think that that's the main part of the character. You're looking at him all the time. It's got to be something cool there. I kind of like where it's going on the suit. Um, I'm thinking even like the little techie lines because we got to think in terms of now his mental impulses are running all through the suit to the guns, and so we got to make it look like he's just this big kind of he's wearing a suit of circuitry almost, something like that. But as far as the face goes, let's get in there and see what we can come up with while we're still in the rough sketch stage. Um, Opening for the eyes. No, is the mouth exposed? That's no, maybe not. Let's keep that unexposed because we could still kind of get away with this suit being also high tensile strength, like bulletproof. Maybe it's got some real strength qualities in the suit itself to even amplify its strength a little bit. Um, but definitely, definitely at least bulletproof. It's kind of tough when you don't got a character that's at least can withstand some bullets or something. So let's go ahead and do that. So we don't want the mouth opening because then you could just be shot in the face there, and that would defeat that. So, but then as far as the markings on this suit, let's get rid of some of these construction lines. Always throw in some shading too, like where I want my light sources to be, so then when I come back through and start doing all my render work, I remember all that and it goes a little nicer. I don't want the suit to look different, but it's tough. So much has been done on these face suits, face mask or whatever. Maybe something like this, like that maybe. That's kind of cool. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, shoot. Oh, here it is, boys and girls, the toughest part. What to make the suit look like. You know, and the part, you know, you got to halfway think about too is like, alright, if they do something cool on the suit as far as markings go, why did they? You know, like, what was the purpose of that? I mean, you know, if they're developing a high-tech weaponry for the government per se, would they really care about, you know, design issues and making it look cool? Probably not, right? So you almost want to do a mix in there. You don't want to get too elaborate where it looks like, you know, they tried to make it style, you know, have some style. No, it looks like somebody else too. Well, I know I want to have the circuitry because, especially being that it's on his face and on his head, you know, it could be that some of this is optic related, but definitely has to be somewhat uh, mental. Um, but I don't want to put, you know, a big dot in his forehead like that's where it's. I'll say that the optics control most of it. Maybe the direction of the projectiles. Well, when in doubt, start scribbling various things and see what sticks. That's my motto. Yeah, kind of like that. Looks almost like an iron cross, which wouldn't be bad, I guess. I don't think anybody's done that that I know of, but could be wrong there. Yeah, I'll keep playing with that, but that's not too bad, I guess. I'm wondering if I'd put like the circuits inside of that or something. Yeah, but from a distance, I don't think I'm digging that. Let's backpedal that. Goodness, maybe I should have just made this guy a typical. It's harder to come up with something that hasn't been done on these face masks. Draw the circuit lines first. Gotta have those. And coinciding with these shapes. Let's just try something simple like that. And we could give them some sort of headpiece. So that looks silly. Yeah, let's go with this and keep it basic for now. And get to the next layer of the art. And let's see the guns. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this to the next stage of it and start trying to clean up the line work. So I think that's my initial pose. There are some proportion things I'd like to fix. um, and some more things I'd like to add to the suit to make it a little bit more, uh, effective or cool. Um, let's see. So now what I'll do is go ahead and convert this to a blue line, like so. Add another layer, and then start to get in there and just kind of pull more of the lines together, clean them up a bit, check any proportion issues. Like I think his shoulder needs to be a bit bigger here. Oh, and you know what I think would be cooler? Let's do this. The guns actually connect to these wrist devices that are part of the suit, and upon command, the guns can transmorph into the wrist guards. And the reason why that'll be cool, he can't just have these guns yanked out of his hand, for one, and then also maybe if you get bored of drawing the same gun, these things can also, upon his thought process, within reason, transmorph or transform into other forms of weapons. So that just makes him a whole lot more powerful and neat and fun to draw and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and try that, because this is obviously just for for fun and to show the creation process. So we can stretch the envelope as far as we want. So plus you don't want to be stuck to have to draw the same weaponry, but then you can change that too. You can say that he you know he starts updating his own weaponry and making it you know making changes to it. So but this will be a cool way to explain that and be able to do a little bit more with it. Now you notice that each time when I refine this, I just kind of throw in some new lines, clean up the old ones, pick parts of the sketch that I want to keep there, other parts that I don't, I just forget about. And that's really all you have to do, and you just keep throwing layers on top of it and getting it closer to a finished product, something that you can be proud of. Yep, so all that. And I keep thinking about whether or not I want this to be a bulkier suit. I don't think so. I think this needs to be a really high-tech, just form-fitting suit. So it has all this technology. It's bulletproof. It does all this cool stuff with, you know, uh, passing information through to the weapons. But it's also just sleek and tight, and it's not some big bulky armor, and that's why it's so high-tech. And maybe there's some more history into why it's more advanced than anything else that's around. That's when you start pulling into things like you know, aliens had something to do with it, or um, maybe there was a scientist that was like Einstein, where he's ahead of his time, and he developed it, but unfortunately through the process and the corrupt government, he's no longer with us. Or maybe he goes underground, and the only person that has access to him is Trigger here, or Killshot, if that name's available. I kind of like Killshot better, but I'm almost positive that one's been used. So, but I don't think Trigger's bad. I think it's kind of more. Um, it almost makes him sound more like a bad guy though, like just mean. Like versus Killshot. I guess they're both kind of villain names, really. perspective shot. See, really means I care, because it's a hard one for me to draw, and I threw it in there for you. The main thing that makes perspective angles like this hard to draw is knowing where to hide the muscles. Like, see this little guy right there? That's actually the tricep, and it's just barely in there. But the tricky part is wanting to draw every muscle and, you know, drawing it large and popping out in a certain angle, and you gotta hide parts of parts like that. It's hard to explain, but basically just knowing what parts to draw in and what parts to hide by the, like how the forearm here, this forearm probably would even come up higher like this, and you would barely, if at all, see the bicep from this angle. So just things like that. And not to mention, it's hard to draw this this hand. See, I'm kind of struggling with it a little bit. Maybe the thumb comes wrong here. Alright. And guns like this, if you want to make it easier for you to draw in perspective, just like if you're drawing a chair in a room that doesn't coincide with all the other stuff in the room, you just give it your own perspective point. So if I take a line off the top of this gun and go to about here, it can't be very far back because of the steep angle here, and then the line off the base of it to here, there's our perspective point for that gun. You know, and we might even want it to be closer to here, because this arm's really coming, you know, the arm has kind of a little bit of a separate perspective. If you followed the arm back like this, it'd be about here, at least with the forearm right there. So you know, say this is our perspective line ruler. We just go into here and find the rest of the lines into the firearm or the gun. You don't want every line to hit on that point, but some of them. And there you go. Just kind of start filling in parts of the gun like that. And something like that. I might change that. I think that looks like it's pointing over here. Yeah, I'm not digging that. Let's try this another way. I could just change the angle of the gun, so let me try that first. So I don't think the arm's horrible. The hand's okay. The hand actually could point. And the beauty of the hand is it can change the direction based on the bend of the wrist. So what we got to do there? Start with the hand here, thumb here, something like that. And let's have the gun coming more towards the camera. Like that, and then I always kind of zoom back to see if it works. The other trick is to flip the drawing horizontally, left to right or whatever, and you'll or mirror it, I should say, and that'll also show you flaws. Yeah, I'm still not digging that arm. It actually looks really small. So let's scratch this, and I'll tell you what I'll go ahead and do now, because I don't want to make you sit through an entire session of me doing this. I'll go ahead and time lapse the video now, and you'll see how I can refine the character. At the end I'll talk about it more and, you know, see if there was any other decisions I made, but we're pretty much there as far as what this character is going to be, and then I'll just take it to more of a finished product so that you can see, you know, what he comes out like. So stay tuned and let's see what we get. All right, so there we have it. Until oh, I don't know what that was, but until I come up with a better name, which I kind of like Trigger. I think it's cool, and I did pause the video and check, and I couldn't find a character with that name, so at least not a main character. I did find out that it was the Lone Ranger's horse, though, but I don't think that would interfere. So at any rate, there is the character. I'm decently happy with how he came out. I may even do another video where I ink and color him because that would really bring out some of the detail and make it show off. And I'm not quite sure what color combo I'd use with him. I'm picturing some dark blue and light blue in the costume there to go with the metallized effect and stuff like that, and some gray mixed in there. But I'm not entirely sure, you know. Um, but that's the idea, anyways. Where I draw it, sketch it out. I had really no clue where this was going to go, other than I wanted it to be a character development, a cool character. I didn't know where it would lead to, and a lot of times that's the best because it's just more organic that way, and you kind of just feel out the process and see. And it's fun too. You get done with it and you're like, all right, that was cool, and you can start imagining into the character, what he might be, and some background story, and just sort of writing some notes down as you do it, and having fun with it. So hopefully that showed you something, and hopefully it gives you an idea for what you can do to create your own characters. Be sure to message me and let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Also, what you thought of this video, and what you might even think of this character, if you think it's a good idea, and maybe we should throw him in the Blackstone Eternal comic book. You can find that on Indie Planet, and you can follow it here and see more pages as I produce them. So thanks very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check back often. Thanks very much. Keep drawing. Take care.